Good morning. Buenos dias.
Hey,
Uh,
hey.
I know this is a slight difference in our regular schedule, but I wanted to be able to accommodate our guest today. Thank you, everybody who is joining us live. So glad that you're here. Um, Let me see. I'll make sure I don't miss something. Okay. Um, I'm really excited to talk to my guest today because, I've talked about my journey to moving abroad, and when I initially moved abroad, I took my 15-year-old daughter with me, but not everybody wants to move abroad in the traditional sense and settle down in one place. Technology uh, has made it so you don't really have to do that. The last 2 years, we've really seen the work from home, work from anywhere landscape change. So we see a whole lot more people considering a more nomadic lifestyle, but can you do that with kids? Can you still be a digital nomad? That's what we're talking about today. Um, but before we jump into that, if you're new, let me introduce myself. Welcome. My name is Adelia Borshade. But most people on the internet know me as Picky Girl Travels the World. I help Black women master their money so they can travel, move abroad, or do whatever it is their heart desires. If that sounds like your kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you will be the first to know the next time I go live or post a video. Now, let's talk about my guest, Miss Veta, who is doing that exact thing. She is traveling the world as a digital nomad with her kiddos. How old are your kids?
10 and 15.
And how long have y'all been on the road?
We were in Mexico December to May thereabouts. And then we went back to the States for a break and just to get business done. And then we came back in July and
Mm-hmm.
we were in going through Europe fast. And then we're settled down for a little bit right now. So
Oh,
going almost a
wow.
year soon.
Yeah. That's incredible. I've got so many questions. And if you are here live and you've got questions, make sure you drop them in the comments so you can get them answered. Like I said, you're doing the thing that a lot of people think is impossible. Because I talk to women who are like, oh, yeah, I want to go abroad, but maybe I'll just wait till my kids get older. I mean,
Mhm.
had even that was my original plan. I had decided to move abroad. My daughter was a freshman in high school, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait for 3 years. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to
Right.
wait. But we were not nomadic. So that's why I say you're out here doing the thing that a lot of folks don't even think uh, is possible. Uh, and so that's kind of like my first question is why be nomadic instead of just saying, okay, we're going to pick one country and that's where we're going to move?
Um, I think it started with curiosity. We just wanted to see it all and learn more and do everything. I know we're not going to see it all or do everything, but that was kind of what we wanted to do. We weren't sure where we wanted to go. There's so many places. Like I can see myself living in Japan, and then I'm like, oh my god, Portugal, and then I'm like, where do we settle? Where do we, move to and stay for long term? So then going like this, being nomadic and just staying in a place for a month, 2 months, whatever, eventually we'll see, okay, yeah, we really like it here. So let's stay here for, however long. So I think that was the biggest thing. Just we wanted to see it all and we weren't sure exactly where we wanted to settle. So we're just going until or our ancestors say, okay, stay there, girl.
And you said we. What did the boys think of this when you presented this idea?
The first time I talked to them about it, they were excited. They were fine with traveling because we were traveling for vacation since they were younger. So they enjoyed going to new places and doing all these things. So when I told them, okay, do you want to go to school online and we'll just travel, do whatever? And they're like, yes. My little one, the 10-year-old, he was super excited because school for him, he is more advanced, so he would be sitting in class bored because he learned this subject, but he has to sit there until everybody else gets up to they learn the subject, which is fine, but he just got bored. So they had to take him and a couple other kids, put them in a different room and give them different work. So he was tired of that. He was like, oh my God, I'm sick again. I don't want to keep getting sick because school and kids and whatever. So he was super excited to leave. My 15-year-old, he was fine too. He enjoyed, especially during COVID, that kind of the school thing kind of, showed them that they would love to do it. They still have their friends that they talk to and everything. So from the get-go, they were fine. So I made sure to talk to them to make sure it was a decision all three of us were going to make together.
I think, I've not really, I don't have any like kids that are still in high school because my youngest is a freshman, sophomore in college. Um, but I hadn't, I've had conversations with adults about how the way we've had to live during the pandemic has changed their perspective on things, but I hadn't really considered kids the same way. Like, oh, I could still have my friends and still go do this other cool thing.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Okay, so how long between you kind of thinking this might be the way to go and actually getting on that plane and heading to Mexico?
Um, okay, so we started talking about it 2019, 2018, 2019, thereabout.
Okay.
It was just a thought. I just always knew that I wanted to just do something different. But once we were supposed to leave, when was it? Sometime in 2020, and then Corona hit, and then I'm like, okay, we can't do this anymore, whatever. And then in right around October, I said, okay, we're just gonna go because I don't think this is gonna stop anytime soon. I was going crazy, like legit mental. So I'm like, let us go. So within 2 months, I was packing up my house. I got somebody to rent it. My stuff was in one room and the rest of the house was empty. I told my parents, I told my sister, and they're like, okay, because they don't think I was gonna do it. They probably knew I did it when I'm like, I'm in Mexico. They didn't think I was gonna do it for real. So within 2 months, I was like, all right, let's just do it for real. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question about how y'all's plans change, but you just mentioned your sister and your parents, and I detect a little bit of an accent.
Jamaican.
Okay. And so I'm curious, how did this idea go over with with your Jamaican relatives?
They were actually fine with it. Like I said, they probably didn't think I was actually going to do it. So they thought I was just saying it. And
Okay.
then when I started to like clean out my house and stuff, they're like, oh, she's probably going to do this. This is probably real. And then when I finally left and everything, but they were fine. They were happy for me to be going out there and doing my thing. So, and then they're
Okay.
back there still helping me with everything that I need to get done. So they've been pretty cool.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so it sounds like y'all had planned even pre-pandemic to give this lifestyle a try. So
Mhm.
I'm curious, did your plans change or how you were going to execute this change because of the pandemic?
Um, a little bit. Just the places that we were gonna go or we were gonna go first. It was supposed to be Canada because I have family there. We're gonna stay there for a month with them, and then we're gonna move. Like just how we were gonna move, and because Canada, I think they just opened back to us, so we couldn't do that. So then I'm thinking, okay, what else can I do? And then the only place was Mexico at the time. I think it was Mexico was not on my list to stay like for that long or anything. That was on the end of just going the first trip we were going to take around. Mexico was the first step, the last step we were going to take before we went back to the States to take our business and then figure out where we're going to stay for a longer time. So then I just started looking to see, okay, where can we go? Because nobody's letting us in. And then I saw Mexico, and then I just figured, okay, let's go to Mexico. And then literally within, it was 2020 that I started to look into Mexico for, staying for a couple of months. So it was a couple of months that I decided Mexico, we're going to go stay.
Now, I, of course, live in Mexico City. I am a big fan of Mexico, but you are not alone in that. I think the pandemic has really been Mexico's moment because if I had a dollar or a peso for every person who said, yeah, I wasn't even considering Mexico. But
Yeah.
it was one of the few places that would let us in. And then I got there and was like, oh, wow.
Yes, yes.
How long were y'all in Mexico?
We were there for about 5 months, thereabout. Yeah, there were a couple places in Mexico that I was thinking of going, and for some reason, PDC just stuck. One reason I think is it was closer to Florida, and then the time zone was pretty much the same, so it was easy. Yeah, pretty easy. I think that was the main draw at that time, just because of COVID and everything that changed.
And if somebody's watching this, or if you're here now and you're like, PDC, that's Playa del
Oh,
Carmen.
sorry. Yes.
No, because in Mexico, you get very used to referring to places by the initials. Mexico
Mhm.
City is CDMX, Playa del Carmen is PDC, Querétaro
Yeah.
is QRO, SMA is San Miguel de Allende. So we're very used to that. But if
Yes.
you're not in the know. You're like, what? Huh? Okay, so you ended up in Mexico because that was an easy option. That was an open option. Um, did the boys feel any kind of way about coming to Mexico instead of going, let's say, to Canada?
No, they were down. They were fine, and that's one of the things that I try to keep doing. I talk to them about everything, just so I can get their perspective, what they like, because it doesn't make any sense. I drag them behind me, and then they're gonna just be complaining the entire time. So I did speak to them about it, and they were fine. They love Mexico. They still talk about Mexico, the friends they made. They want to go back. Eventually, we'll visit or whatever. But yeah, they were excited, and then they just fell in love completely when we were there.
Do any of you speak Spanish?
Not really. I should, but they're doing Spanish in school, so that should help them for when we go back.
Okay. And so you mentioned school. Let's talk about that because I'm sure any mom who's watching this, that I know at least for me was my biggest hurdle was how am I going to educate my child uh, in another country? What are your kids doing for school?
Right now, we're doing Florida virtual. It's a homeschool. Well, you have two sections of Florida virtual. You have Florida virtual full time, which is like you're in the regular public school. So you do the same schedule and everything, and it's reported to the school board and all that. And then you have flex, which is homeschool. They still get teachers, they still get courses, but I get to choose the courses that they do. So, like my 10-year-old, he's doing a high school computer coding class because he's a really good coder. So, all the elementary or middle school classes, he's already done with that. So, in a regular school, he wouldn't be able to do a high school course like that. So, he's now doing a high school course in the fifth grade. So,
That's awesome.
with the flex option, I get the choice. I'm their teacher, I'm responsible. I'm their principal and everything, but they do have the option to go to school live because they have the teachers, they have the course, they still turn their assignments in and everything. So we've been really liking the Florida Virtual Flex.
Okay. Okay. And I assume that your son, that's currently a high school student, that with this program, when he's finished, he'll get his Florida high school diploma.
With the Flex, I give him the diploma. So he's going to get, what do you call it? he's still gonna get his certificate and everything, but it's gonna be from me with his courses and everything. Um, we've been thinking though, if he wants to do full time for the last year, so he can get the certificate from the school, it's not going to make a big difference because all the colleges pretty much they take homeschool accreditation just like they take the public schools. So it's just to make my work easier because then I have to write up all his I have to do his report and it just depends, but we have that choice for him to do the last year in public school and then get the traditional certificate, or we can just do the homeschool certificate.
And I do want to make a point because I think a lot of us have been led to believe that if you believe that your child is college bound, that they have to have a traditional high school diploma in order to go, and that is really not the case. I mean, that wasn't true before we started living in this time where kids were going to school online, but it isn't. You could homeschool your kid, you could world school your kid, what have you. If anything, doing that might give them a leg up over kids who sat in a classroom, a traditional classroom every day for 4 years, because what the university wants to see is, do they have the knowledge base? Do they have the skills to be successful? It's really not about the piece of paper. So if there's a mom watching this thinking that a high school diploma, that actual diploma and that transcript is the key to their kid getting in,
true.
that is not the case. That is not the case. All right. So we have a question here from Swan M. What about socialization for your kids? My concern is my introvert 14-year-old not making friends or having much of a social life. She also does Florida virtual school flex.
Oh, nice. Another flexer. um, so that when we were in Mexico, we had a community. So I guess that's why you find places that have other expats. If you have kids and you're trying to get them to socialize in Mexico, there was something all the time for the kids to come together and do. So my oldest, he did basketball with the Black Aboriginals. They had a whole team and everything. If you've heard about them on the Facebook groups and all that. And he made friends with some of the kids. He went to chill and do whatever. The little one, he's more of, and I'm trying to get him out of that, but he's more of an online gaming, coding. So he will just sit and be coding with his friends online, and that's like perfect heaven for him. But we did do a couple of meetups with other moms. Now it is a little bit different because we were just moving so fast through Europe, so there was no time to get with other kids or anything. But once you slow down and you chill for a little bit, then pretty much everywhere you go, there's going to be an expat community. So you just reach out, join the Facebook groups, and there more than likely will be other kids. So you just have to put out the effort to talk to the other moms. If you see somebody post and like, oh yeah, me and my kid or me and my whatever, you can DM them or just post on the group, because that's what I did initially. I'm here with my 10 and 15-year-old. At that time, they were 9 and 14. So I'm like, if any moms want to, get together or whatever. And that's just how they, met people and they went out. Even when we did, I remember distinctly one of the beach days. Kalel didn't go, the oldest. Jarrell was there. He was 9 at the time. And all the grown-ups, the guys, the girls, they were like, come on, Jarrell. And they were, had him in between them, and they're playing card game. They're teaching him how to do this. And so not even just with, just the kids, the entire group was just, that's why I still love Mexico. But it was just amazing. But wherever we continue to go, we will continue to find just that little group where we can, the kids can have their friends. It's easier for me because there's always a girls group somewhere to do something or whatever. But yeah, so for them, they do still have their friends back home that they talk to online and all that. But we do still try to make time for, people that we meet along the way.
I think something important to remember is that socializing is going to look different right now because we're living in a pandemic. If you are living abroad, it's just going to look different. As an introvert myself, I just want to just put this out there to the mamas who feel like, oh, I gotta get my introverted kid out there. No, you don't. Does she want friends? Because she may not want, she may not want to be hanging
Right.
out with folks. I've spent the last 3 days, 4 days in the house because I had enough outside for this week. So I just want to remind the mamas that if your child is an introvert, if they want to interact with people, but don't feel like you got to force them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Um, Here we've got another question. How do they learn advanced subjects like chemistry, calculus? If, like, as the parent who's facilitating that, if you don't have the knowledge, because goodness knows I could not teach. I could not teach any child chemistry or calculus.
Yeah. I don't know those either. And that's why they're doing Florida virtual, because like I mentioned, they do still have structured class. So they have class, and each class have their own teachers. So they have a teacher for every subject, except for the fifth grader, because he still has the one teacher for everything, except the class that he's taking in high school. So they do have class schedules. They haven't really been doing the classes because they enjoy just doing it on their own, but they do have the classes. So they go in, the teacher, she's still doing instructions and whatever, just like in a class, in the regular traditional classroom. And then they do have office time, so between a certain hour, from, I think it's 8 to pretty much 8 at night, which is one of the good things about flexi teachers. Are, I don't know how they do it, but they're literally there all the time. Like I remember Kalel needed help with algebra 2, and he texted the teacher, and she's like, I'm here. Do you want help? And that was like 8 o'clock at night. The same thing with Jarrell when he was doing the computer class. It was on a Sunday, and he, emailed the teacher, when you're in on Monday, I would like to go over such and such because I don't understand. And he's like, well, I'm here. Do you want to go over it now? And he's like, okay. So yes, they still do have teachers that, thank God for them, because I don't know what I would do. But it just depends, I guess, on the court, on, how your kids are going to school. Like if you are in a state like Florida that offer a flex homeschool like this, I would do it, because it makes it easier on mom. If you're not the teaching type or you don't know certain things, you still have that, school or the teachers and all that to fall back on. You still have that fallback, so you don't have to take on all of that by yourself.
You're not going it alone. If your home state is one that doesn't have a program like this, basically you just have to connect. This is something you outsource, just like you don't want to clean your apartment, you hire somebody to do that.
Yes.
There are lots of programs. There are one of the big things, and I considered this for about 5 seconds. But if y'all know me, I'm not trying to do real work right now. There are a lot of certified teachers who have decided to opt out of the traditional system and are, I don't want to call it tutoring because it's really more than that, but are offering instruction online, virtually. So there are a lot of options, I think, that exist now that we live in this pandemic world that may not have existed before. So you don't have to go it alone. There are tons of certified teachers who are monetizing those skills they have, probably because they want to move abroad. Okay. What was my question? I had a question before we went down this route, I thought, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'm trying to think before we started talking about schooling. Okay. We've talked about what the kids are doing, but what are you doing? Did you inherit millions of dollars and that's how you can afford to trot around the world with your kids?
I'll take a couple million, right? I don't know why my parents and grandparents aren't millionaires. to pass it down to me. But no, when I decided that I wanted to do this, I've always worked from home, so that was this. I'm just doing the same thing that I used to do. I run my website. It's a coupon site, so I was doing that a long time. So that was taken care of. And then I started to do side jobs like Instacart and DoorDash. And I saved up all that money for, I think it was like a year and something. And it was really good. So I've, been living off my savings pretty much. Right. I try to have a good amount so I'm fine. And I'm still doing my online work and all that. So, and I'm just like you, like when you said you don't want to work right now or do, when you said something like that, I'm like, so now I don't feel bad when I'm sitting here. Like they're like, "How are you living?" I'm like, my saving.
Well, you know
I'm
what?
still working.
That's the beauty of when you choose to opt out of the US system. The amount of money you need in order to live your life, it changes.
Yes.
And so your relationship with work definitely changes. Like
Yes.
I'm not anti-work, but I no longer will slog through something if I'm not feeling it. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like
Uh,
that.
okay. Beautiful beginnings with Lasanda. I'm one of those teachers that opted out of traditional teaching. Okay. What do you do? Who do you teach? There may be somebody watching this right now who's looking for somebody that does what you do. So let us know in the comments.
Yeah, the comment
Um,
below her is looking for a teacher
yeah,
like that.
see?
So
Where do I find those teachers you mentioned?
right
Tutoring
above you now.
independently. Several of them have kind of created their own companies. If Rashida is still here, what is Mimi's company called? Because I know she's done that. Um, you know what? I don't have a list for you, but let me put that on my list of things to get together because I know you are not alone in looking for those resources. Um, so yeah, Sheeta, if you remember what Mimi's tutoring company is called, but yes, I'm going to work on getting us a list of who these teachers are because I know there's quite a few teachers who look like us that have decided to opt out of the traditional classroom and are looking. And see, here's another one: Life After Fear. I too
Amazing.
am a qualified teacher looking for ways to teach outside the confines of the national curriculum. I know OutSchool is one option. Where you can basically offer whatever course you want. But of
Mhm.
course, you're using their platform. They are going to but they
Right.
connect you with an audience. So that might be a good way to start to sort of get your audience, get word of mouth out there. Okay. So here is one uh, former traditional classroom teacher who has done that. I believe her background is elementary uh, reading, shiftedlearning.com. Y'all go check Mimi out. Thank you, Sheeta, for that. So, yeah, we had another question about work. Um, Single moms start a nomadic journey, such as finding a job online for starters. Have you pursued any like online work, remote work positions?
No, I personally haven't. But I did do a video. I made a list of some places that you can find jobs. Upwork, they have a lot of freelancing, so that's easy to. It's not gonna be like a monthly thing or whatever. It's just what you pick up for the time. Um, what is it? You can teach. Well, some places I know VIP Kids, they're still hiring, and I'm trying to remember the name of this other school that's still hiring. I think it was two that I know for English teaching right now. So that
Mm-hmm.
and that was a big thing before China made the changes. But you can still find places to teach online.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Teaching
just
English.
teaching
If you're
English.
willing
Yeah.
to teach English online, that is probably the has the least barriers to entry. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
easiest because I was a teacher. I'm not going to demean what anybody does, but there are definitely fewer barriers to entry to getting started there. I'm sorry I
Yeah.
interrupted you, but that popped in my head and I didn't want to forget.
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, and taking your skills that you currently have, like, we're talking about teaching. Are you a teacher? Can you, monetize that, put that in, start joining groups, or build yourself a little quick, cheap or free website, and then start marketing yourself? What kind of skills do you have? Apart from what I'm doing, I did, but that was this is a friend of my family. She was looking for pretty much a virtual assistant to do everything for her, that for her business that she didn't want to do. So I'm doing that. So, what kind of virtual work can you do? Can you become a virtual assistant? It's were you, an office, doing an office job, you were doing, filing papers, you were setting appointments, doing all that. People still want, people to do that
Yeah.
online, because everything is so virtual right now. You can pretty much do anything virtual. You can change your in-office job and make it virtual. You just have to get your skills, hone in on them, and then see how you can switch from being in the office to doing it and offering your service online.
Yes, well said. And that reminded me that I actually did a YouTube video on that. I'm trying to find the link for it. Because I think we have to sort of change the way we think about work. I always get, I'm not sure what the word is. I want people to move away from this idea that, like, oh, I need to find a job in another country. No, you really don't want to do that.
No.
You don't want to do that.
No.
Here is a link to the video that I did for To Live Abroad. And it talks about some of the things we just mentioned here is figuring out what skills do you have? Because you can go the route of getting a remote job, a traditional job that allows you to work from somewhere else. But if you are in the mood that I'm in, when I don't want anybody telling me you need to show up at this time and I need you to be online at this time. Like, I don't want anybody telling me what to do right now. Um, if that's you, think about, what are the skills that I have? How can I monetize them? What are the things that I can do? So, like you said, you're doing virtual assistant work, because just like people need assistance physically in person, there are all, think about it this way, there are all of these online entrepreneurs who need help. What aspect of their business can you help with? And then create your work around that.
Right.
There are definitely a lot of options. Okay, so Lasanda tells us she is pre-K through sixth grade certified. Um, Getting ready to start I can't talk, tutoring business. Make sure you reach out to me when you get your website, you get your name, what have you, because I'm gonna do this because as a mom, I know how useful this list would have been to me. I am going to put together a list of educational resources for nomadic parents, like, who do I go to? Because I don't know how to do calculus. Who can help my kid with that sort of thing? Okay, so Lasanda, make sure you send that to me. Lisa Free, you certified girl. You're a middle school math teacher. Math teachers can write their own ticket. I wish I spoke math. I really do, but I don't. It's like Mandarin. So yeah, you can do a ton with that. Okay. But yeah, I put this link in the chat, and I will, when the stream is over, I will put a link to this in the description of this video. Um, I was trying to think what else I want to say about that, but I couldn't think of anything else. Okay. All right. So you I kind of hate to use this term, but you sort of have like multiple streams of income going.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And
A little bit of everything.
I think that's another mental shift that has to happen, because when you live in the United States, we're very much geared towards you get a job and that job
Mhm.
provides your income.
Right.
And living the life that you live, you have the flexibility to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And by doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, that gives you the flexibility to travel the world with the boys.
Yes.
Now, where are you right now?
Istanbul.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been here a month and some. We have another 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're gonna go to Anatolia in Turkey still, and then from there we're still. That's the thing. I pick where we're going next based on what's going on with. Well, right now because of the pandemic, so I'm still looking like, okay, where is shutting down again? Where is opening up again? And then we figure out where to go and just write it out like that for now.
And how is that? Is that stressful? Is that, have you found a really good tool or website to help you sort of stay on top of that kind of stuff?
Um, Not really. It's not stressful, and I haven't seen anything that's built to kind of like, help to make this any easier. But when we were doing Europe, I just went to the places we could get to on a shorter train ride. So that was pretty much my thinking during that time. And since I was already out of the US, most countries in Europe, they're open to each other. So that was fine. So I knew, okay, fine, I'm leaving from this country to that country. It'll be fine.
So, despite having a US passport, the fact that you are not traveling from the US
Yes,
is making a
correct.
difference. Okay.
Right. So even though you're a US citizen, it's the country of origin. So if you're coming from the US, yeah, you probably would be blocked in like Italy or wherever they locked us out of now. But since I was coming from a different country in Europe, that country was on their green list. So that was fine. And then most
Okay.
of the times you don't even have border control or anything. So I've had my passport checked twice from the 11 countries we did since July. So it's not
Okay.
like they're going to even check to know. So you're fine.
11 countries since July.
Yeah.
I was going to say that sounds like a lot, but I actually did like 10 countries in a month once. I don't recommend that. I'm not sure why I did that to myself. Now, and that was primarily in Europe, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was just going through Europe. Yeah.
Now, that's a pretty fast pace. Was this because it was like summer vacation for the boys?
Yeah. Basically, just going through Europe. I was gonna say it's expensive. Europe is expensive. It is
It is.
expensive, but it
It
was
is.
more expensive doing it the way I did it. But I specifically saved for that. So that was more like you said, a vacation. That was more like, okay, this is our summer trip. We're just gonna do all this and have fun and you know and then now when we got to Turkey, we have 3 months here, so we're like, okay, let's just start going slow because we did most of what we wanted to do in Europe. That was just our fun time. So now it's just rest and live like we're living one place for a little bit and then just keep moving.
Okay. And we just had a question. I'm glad you asked this, Angela. Where can you follow Veta on social media? Because she is sharing all of their adventures. She's on Instagram, Life with
For
Veta.
now, I don't know what's going on with my Instagram, so but you can check it to see when it comes back. But yeah, Instagram is being crazy right now. But
Okay.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
She also has a YouTube channel called Life with Veta. You can, you're posting videos there.
Yes.
Um, where else?
Facebook, it's still Life with Veta on Facebook. I have a blog, lifewithveta.com. I
Okay.
think that's, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, so what about visas?
Yeah. So it depends on where you're going, and having the US passport, it does help a lot. It's not the strongest passport, but it's pretty close. So for Europe, we didn't need a visa for any countries there, so that was good. For Turkey, we did need a visa. I did that online. It was super simple. It was like a couple hours and I got the visa. Funny, they didn't even check it when we got here. Nobody ever looked or asked. And I'm
I'm
like,
convinced with Turkey, it's a money grab.
and
It's
I'm like,
because
why?
you pay your money, and I think you get your visa gets approved in like an hour.
Right.
It's about this is a way we can get money from y'all. And hey, I'm not mad at them, but how long do you get to stay in Turkey on the visa that y'all have?
3 months.
Okay.
On the US passport, you get 3 months, and then you have to leave for 3 months, I think, or still 3 or 6 months. You can double check. But yeah, so it's just like the EU. That's why we had to leave after a certain time because you only get 90 days also. So it's 90 days in, 90 days out. We do it we kind of figure it out as nomads or expats when they're trying to just go and see Europe. So you have to do 30 days in, I mean 90 days in, and then you go to somewhere like say Turkey where you get that 90 days and then you can go back into the EU. So it's kind of like
Because uh,
on a
now,
tourist visa if you don't get
as a geography teacher, I do have to point out that technically Turkey is located in Europe, but Turkey is not part of
a
the
part of
European
the
Union.
right
Therefore, they're not well, that's not the only reason they're not part of the Schengen zone, because there are Schengen countries that are not EU countries.
EU.
But
Yeah,
to get around the limited time that you can be in the Schengen zone, because you can do 90 days if you have a US passport. It's 90 days in 180 days. So you need, in a 180-day period, you can only be there for 90 days. But if you don't want to go too far, you could hop over to the UK, or Turkey, or someplace like in Eastern Europe, something like that, hang out there for a bit, then come back to Europe, because after 180 days, things
and
reset.
and that's the thing because it's a roll-in, so that's why it makes it so we can go back after that 90 days. Because right now I keep checking, we're not going to go back right now, but I do keep checking, and with every day that pass we you get that day, you get that day, so it's a rolling 90 days. So that's why when digital nomads are doing it like that, we're able to do 90 days in, 90 days out. So I don't know if it's a cheat or a hack or whatever, but it's just one of those things. But yeah, there is a site where you can check to see how long you have again once you leave.
And I wanted to make a point of bringing up visas because in the current environment we're in, maybe countries that had not previously been sticklers about visa dates and overstaying visas and that kind of stuff, they may be now.
Yeah.
And if you're contemplating a digital nomad type lifestyle, staying on top of how many days have I spent in this country,
Yes.
that's an important thing that you need to do, because the last thing you want is to then get banned.
Right.
You could be banned for 6 months, you could be banned for a year, you could be banned longer than that.
Hmm.
So that is something that if you're contemplating this, that needs to be part of your planning and part of the routine, really.
Yes.
Um, okay. A growing Facebook group question is, do single moms have to get permission from fathers to take children out of the country? Did Veta have to deal with this issue?
Um okay. That's yeah, that's one of them that single moms we have to think about, stress about. I'm not gonna tell people to do, to just go out there, whatever. But for me, I didn't get any permission. I hate that word, the permission thing. Um, no, I didn't contact. I told him that we were leaving because he lives in Vegas. We live in Florida. Wasn't gonna see them that much anyway. Um, so I told him we were going to do this. He was like, all right, cool, have fun. That was it. I didn't ask for a letter. Nobody's ever asked me for a letter anywhere. And like I said, we've been traveling since they were kids. I've never walked with anything. So some
So
countries, maybe
your
one day.
youngest, I'm sure y'all can hear all this noise outside. Sorry about that. Um, your youngest already had his passport, correct?
Um, so when I was going through my divorce, that was one of the things. So that's if you are married and you're getting a divorce, put that in your whole proceeding. So I made sure my attorney put it in so I could get their passports without their dad. So
That
that
right
wasn't
there.
right. So that wasn't something that I had to deal with. And we had to actually renew their passports in Mexico. And it was easy because I had that letter from the court. I had that, form and everything from the court. So I just sent that with their passport, got it, bam, that's it.
That
So,
is that's the big hurdle. Because again, like you mentioned the letter, because there's a couple of parts to this. If you're a single parent trying to take a minor child out of the country, legally,
mhm,
technically, you need that parent's permission. That
right.
permission is expressed by the fact that they had to give their permission for them to get the passport. In theory, if you are asked for proof of that permission, you should have some documentation. You mentioned you were never asked, neither was I. I have my own theory that as long as your child looks like they belong to you, nobody's going to ask you for a letter. If
And
you
then,
are black or brown, nobody's asking you for a letter. Now, if you are black or brown and your child is ethnically
right.
ambiguous, where
Yes.
some Karen might say, I don't think that kid belongs to that parent, make sure you have a letter.
And then that's one of the reasons I didn't change my last name. I'm like, I just want to have the same last name as my kids. So that is not going to raise any red flags either. We all have the same name, traveling on the same itinerary and whatever.
Yes.
So that definitely helps to alleviate some of that. But I do have a letter from, like, a long time. I do walk with that, but I've never been asked. Nobody's ever second guessed us. For the most part, I think during the entire time, maybe we've been asked maybe twice, oh, summer vacation. That's it. They don't even talk to I don't know if immigration just they don't
Yeah.
care. They don't care for
It's
the
it's
most.
it, this has been my experience because I took my youngest. Now, the person I divorced can be quite the asshole. So I was very concerned. She had a passport when she was 5. It expired when she was 10. We got divorced when she was 14. And I knew what this is before I moved abroad. I knew I wanted to go to Thailand and I was going to take her. So I kind of just put it out there in such a way to not like set off his antenna that, like, hey, she needs a new passport, blah, blah, blah. Here's the form. You don't, because the way it is, he should be there at the appointment, or you get this notarized form. So I'm trying to deal with him this least amount as I have to. So I was like, here's the form, we get it notarized. So that's how I got her passport when she was 14. If your kid is over 16, you don't have to worry about this. But the hard part, the really hard part is if your child does not already have a passport. And I think Veta, you were on top of it by having that put into the divorce decree. If
Yeah.
y'all were never married, this gets a little trickier because,
Yeah.
again, unless you have a court order stating that you can make all of these decisions, he will need to give his permission for the passport. And I have heard several
Horror
instances
stories.
where he just decides he's going to be an ass about it and
Yep.
refuses to give that permission, and the mom can't go. Now,
Yeah.
once the kid has a passport,
Yep.
that's a different ball game.
Yes.
Okay. But if your children do not currently have passports and he is on the birth certificate and you do not have a court document stating that you don't need his permission to get the passport, then that
That's gonna
can
be
be
hard.
an issue. That
And
definitely
I
can be
mean
an
it
issue.
it still can be done. It's just gonna take a little bit more time, especially if you don't know where he is or he's just not answering or whatever. All you need to do at first is send what do you call it?
Certified mail.
Certified mail that you're requesting that he sign for the passport. Keep record of what you send, and that you can use to get the passport, because there's a form that you can fill out to say I try to get,
I tried to
that.
contact
And
him. I'm not
right.
getting any
So they
response. But yes,
do
you have to
have
document
ways
that.
where you're able to do it. It's just going to take a little bit more work. But yeah, if he's like literally fighting against it, then that's court. Like I went to court. I had the best attorney ever. I went to court for everything.
Yeah.
And it was just easier that way. I'm like, I'm not gonna keep going back and forth and arguing. And but yeah, it will take a little bit more time. But if you really want it, don't let that stop you or scare you away because you're like, oh my god, I can't get the passport. You can do it. There's ways to get it done.
It may cost you some money and it may cost you some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will also put this out here because this is a little lesson I had to learn the hard way. We were discussing about having proof, like a certified letter that, or not certified, what's the word? Notarized letter saying that you have permission to travel with your child. There are some countries that have child trafficking issues that will have, like when I moved to Honduras, I did not realize this. They have like child migration, they have child immigration. They have a specific desk that when a child enters and exits the country you are supposed to go to, where you're supposed to demonstrate that you have legal right to do this with the kid. We bypassed that the first time because I didn't know it existed and she was 15. But then when we got residency in Honduras and her teacher used her because they were going on a school field trip. And so that meant every kid who was going on a field trip had to have all these legal documents because they take child migration seriously. Her teacher used her residency card instead of her US passport, which all of a sudden meant she was subject to Honduran laws like a resident, not as a foreigner. And my little notarized letter meant nothing to them. I had to go. They were like, no, only if like the head of immigration for Honduras signs off on this. I
Yeah.
had to go to the US Embassy and have them verify that, yes, this is a notarized letter. I had to, luckily, one of the parents at the school had some connections and was like, this is where you need to go. This is who you need to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. So I mentioned that just to be careful that there are times if you're dealing with a situation like that, you want to deal with it as a foreigner, not as a
Mhm.
local. And learn that one the hard way.
Oh wow.
All
Oh
right,
my
let's see. We
goodness.
have any more questions here? Okay. All right. All right. Okay, so we talked about how you are schooling the kids. We talked about what you're doing for money. You did not inherit a trust fund. Um, how how are you? Well, how's it going? Like, is it what y'all thought it was going to be?
So far, it's going really well. We're really enjoying our time just being out here. Um, COVID, yeah, did change it a little bit. Like I said, just because of where we were going, we're going to spend time with family first. Then we're going to go to London. We had family there again. We're going to do another trip, but it's been good. The kids are fine. They're doing good. I'm okay. The only thing I think is just trying to do more socializing during this time because I'm like, we don't want to go out and just
I mean, it's a pandemic. That's
exactly.
that's a hard
I know
thing to
it's still going
socialize
right.
during.
So we haven't been doing much of that because I'm in a group and the girls will post like, oh, who wants to meet for drinks or lunch? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So it's a little bit different than how I pictured it. Of course, everything in the world right now is different than any one of us pictured it, a year or so ago. But other than that, it's been really, really fun just meeting the locals, just seeing people in their home, in their habitat, eating their food, just talking to them. People are so friendly. Like I was just telling my mom the other day when a couple times, because most of the times we take train, so we're coming from the train station with our luggage. We try to pack, small and smart, but still, it's still not there exactly
I
yet.
like that, small and smart.
But but the amount of people in various places, like we're going down the stairs and they just take her bags, and by the time I look, her bags is just sitting at the bottom of the steps because
Because
somebody
you're a
just
mom with kids. Like that's what people do in other countries. And I'm not
yeah.
trying to rag on the US, but
That's what I was saying. I'm like, even the kids, they're like, why are people so nice? And I'm like, that's how humans are supposed to be. So they are picking up on how other people treat each other, you know. And even here, like the people in Turkey, oh my god, like I love the Turkish people. They are amazing, especially with kids. They love kids. Like other grandmas, they'll walk in, we don't understand. I don't speak Turkish, but just by their gestures, they'll be like just saying hi to the kids. We go through somewhere, the security guards, everybody here, the security guards, they have guns, there's soldiers guarding like the palace that we went to visit, stuff like that. And they're like fist bumping the kids and
oh, that's
hi.
awesome.
And so it's just like it's just been amazing, especially for them. They don't understand why people are so nice and treating them so nice and just want to say hi or want to like they're pinching the little one's face and just I don't know. It's just so amazing. I
On the one hand, that is so incredible that your kids get to experience that. But it's a little bit sad that they're kind of like, well, why?
yes.
That like you said, like they don't already know, like this is how humans are supposed to be. That's a little
Yeah,
sad. And
that
I
is
I
true.
think that just underscores the importance of giving our kids these opportunities to experience other cultures and see what other people are like, and not let their knowledge of other people solely be come through the American lens.
Yeah, that is so true.
That's awesome. um you talked about packing smart and light, and let's talk about the logistics of this, because like solo travel or moving nomadically by yourself is one thing. When you got two two sons to bring with you, that's another matter. So how are y'all doing that, or what was your strategy? Talk us through
Yeah,
it.
so from the get-go, I knew we weren't gonna take check-ons. One, it's gonna cost, especially flying on local airlines. So we decided one carry-on and one personal luggage per person. And we've pretty much been making it go. Sometimes we end up with the plastic bags. So we always have like a store bag or something. But for the most part, it's I have like the little away bag and a personal luggage, and that's it. So we each have or carry on a personal luggage. We pack whatever we could pack in that, and then that's it. And I think twice now in Mexico we did do some shopping and just changed out some clothes. And now that we're in Turkey, my old Kalel, the oldest, he's like, yeah, I need some shirts because these are getting torn or ripped or whatever. So it's like we're buying as we go what we need. So we're not like overpacking 10 years worth of clothes. We do a week's or so worth of clothes and we keep reusing, mix and matching. And then when it tears or when something happened, toss that because it's no good anymore and just buy something else instead of bringing more than we need at the moment.
Now, did you plan for the different carry-on size that European carriers, their rules?
Yeah, that's why I went with
Okay.
the away bag because I knew that the size of their regular size. I was gonna get the bigger carry-on. I don't know if you know anything about them, but
Yeah.
the bigger carry-on would be fine on the US lines, but it wouldn't work on the European lines. So that's why I'm like, all right, let me just get the regular one. And that's pretty much what we did. We haven't had any issues. And then the fact that we were just doing trains all around Europe for the most part, that kind of helped anyway. So
I think I when I did my 10 countries in 30 days, the biggest lesson I learned, other than don't do that again, was if you're going to bop around Europe, trains and buses are the way to
yes.
go. I know those 5 Euro airfares are
Yeah,
very tempting, but
exactly.
they're going to try and nail you on the luggage.
On
And you don't
everything. Yep.
have to worry about that if you take the train or you take the bus. I was so impressed with the Flixbus
Hmm.
Wi-Fi. I could charge my phone. It was
Yes.
comfortable. Tickets were cheap. I left a camera lens in Romania when I went to Hungary. And the people at the hostel were like, we can mail it. It was cheaper for me to buy a bus ticket. I went on the early bus and I came back on the evening bus. What is that? Two
Yes.
countries over. It was cheaper than having them DHL me the lens.
Yeah, the train is amazing to go through Europe. Like if you're in Europe and you want to travel between countries, do the train or the bus. That's pretty much what we did. And I don't remember which cities we were going from exactly, but I remember paying as low as 20 something euros for all three of us to travel from one country
Wow.
to the next
Oh
on a
wow.
train, like three people from one country to the next for 20 something
That's
dollars.
crazy.
That's
That's
crazy.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, So, do you have any tips? Because yes, I know y'all. We're at our hour. Do you have any tips for other moms who are considering being nomads with their kids?
Um, it's scary at first, but I would say definitely work towards it. Go for it. I know a lot of times it's, oh, I need a job or I don't have any money or, whatever it is. Like I said earlier, I was always working online, but I went ahead and I started doing Instacart. I started doing personal shopping. Like through Instacart, I met the most wonderful people and they're like, okay, I want you to shop for me. I want you to be my personal shopper. So that's where majority of my money came from, just trying to, do this for somebody else. So you go out there and whatever way you can, if you need to work a second job or a third job, whatever, if the time permits. I just feel like if you can do that for a couple months and just grind, do it. Like you were saying earlier, you live on so much less. So all that you made, you might not make 3 months in the US, but coming to somewhere else, that same thing that wouldn't take you 3 months in the US could give you 6, 7, whatever months. So I just say go for it. Just do your research on the countries that you're trying to go. If like you were saying Honduras, probably wouldn't go to Honduras if they're gonna ask me for
No, I mean, and
for a letter or
also
something.
it's not a super affordable place.
Mm.
Because my rent, even though I pay more rent now here in Mexico than I did 4 years ago, it's my rent in Honduras 4 years ago was still more than what I pay now.
Oh wow.
So, so yeah, it's probably not the best vacation spot. Probably not.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, my biggest tip is just to overcome fear and go for it. There, we talked about the online jobs. There's something out there for everyone. If you can do freelancing, even if you're not going with a ton of money, if you go with a job or something set up, then you'll make it work. And just find the countries that are less than where you are at right now. Even though
Yeah.
I say that like when I was living in Florida, my cost of living was about the same just because I've been, the Airbnbs or whatever I'm staying at, I'm not staying for longer. So it works out about the same, but the lifestyle that we have is much better.
So you're
So you just have
spending
to,
roughly the same amount of money, but you've elevated
yes,
your lifestyle.
yes, right. So just try to find somewhere that, you think you'll love. And that's why we are just moving around right now because I don't know where we're going to really love. Like I said, I really
And
think in my
but
heart, in
that's
my
part of
head.
the adventure though. That's part of the adventure. And I think
Mhm.
about the experiences that your boys are having on this adventure, the intangible things that they are learning about themselves, about the world. You are giving them a priceless gift. You really, really are.
Thank you.
Um, what there was something I wanted to say. Oh, you made a point about if, like not letting the thought that, oh, I can't afford to do this. stop you. Y'all know we're all about Black women living the life that they want on this channel and figuring out how to get their money right to do that. I'm just going to remind y'all that the Financial Confidence Bootcamp, it's kind of like a Money 101 sort of thing. It starts again November 1st. If you want information on registration and all of that, go to bit.ly/money-bootcamp. Because again, I wanted to have you here today so that people could see a real, tangible example of somebody who looks like them doing this. And so thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Thank
Guys,
you
you
for
can
having me.
follow Veta. She's Life with Veta, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Lifewithveta.com is her website. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
And
having me.
oh, you're
Since
most
when? Thank
welcome.
you.
Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday.